transacting elements are generally or definitely present near the promoter in the same DNA molecule, and transacting element are found far away from the promoter in anywhere else in other DNA. As for example of transacting element, transcription factors, miRNA, siRNA, and cis acting element, we can that is promoter itself is a cis acting element.
Dr. Sneha, please.
Hello.
Hello.
Dr. Sneha is there, please.
Sir.
Please go ahead with your question.
Okay, Shreya, just I want to ask very simple thing. That you want to quantitate DNA in your sample. How can you quantitate DNA?
Please pardon, ma'am, I cannot hear.
How can you quantitate DNA?
How? Could you please repeat?
How can you quantitate DNA in your
Voice is
sample?
not clear.
Okay.
Present in sample, how can you quantitate that?
We can use the sample in the nanodrop to quantify the DNA, and we will get the result as a microgram per ml. So in the ratio of 260 by 280. So if the result comes near about 1.8 to 1.9, then it is good pure DNA. But if it comes beyond means greater than 1.92 to 2.2, then there would be some contamination due to RNA in the DNA, and in that case we should use the DNAs. And if the ratio results below 1.8, then there will be contamination due to the protein.
Okay, coming to the now, because already 20 minutes are over, so coming to the last question now from Dr. Sneha Goswami.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, Shreya, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Shreya.
Voice
Hello.
is not clear.
Voice is not clear. Yes, voice is not clear. Okay, Shreya.
Hello, ma'am. Yes.
About nitrogen metabolism.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I have registered.
So, okay. So, can you explain what is SNDN?
Okay. SNDN is the abbreviation form. So the full form is simultaneous nitrification denitrification. So actually the nitrification and denitrification in this process goes simultaneously, and it is majorly used during the wastewater management. So before we can first we do the nitrification process, that is from NH3 ammonia to a nitrate. Then after that we use this nitrate to again reconverted. We use the denitrification process to produce the nitrogen, and thus we can as denitrification is not good reaction, so we can by this process we can make use of denitrification and drive this energy to the wastewater management.
Okay, well, Shreya, can you list the enzymes which are involved in the process of denitrification?
Yes, ma'am. The nitrification process, denitrification, ma'am.
Denitrification.
Yeah.
Denitrification. First of all, that nitrate to nitrate reductase, then nitrite reductase, then
Okay, how many enzymes are there?
there are 4 enzyme total.
Okay.
So related to this, Shreya, so can you tell us about the regulation of the nitrogenase enzyme, because this is very important enzyme involved in the nitrogen fixation. So can you tell us how it is regulated at different levels?
Right now, so I cannot recall the process correctly, but it can be regulated at transcriptional level, at also the post-transcriptional level. The
So
glutamate
any
to
about any idea
asparagine
about at the
ratio,
post-translational level?
post-translational level. No, sir.
Anybody would like to make any other point? Because we have covered all the 4 sections. Ma'am, Shelly ma'am, would you like to summarize the things?
I think it's okay. She is able to answer most of the questions, and I hope that she is able to do it better in qualifying Viva.
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
So read certain things which you are not able to answer, but most of the thing I feel that everybody is satisfied when they are asking questions.
Yes, ma'am.
No. So,
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
just because you have done your research work also, so can you name few journals in which you would like to publish your work?
No. PLOS, one journal. Another Journal of Biochemistry.
Journal of Biochemistry.
Okay.
Are you
Journal,
aware of what type of work they are going to publish in JBC? Depending
So,
upon your work profile, I
yeah.
think you can suggest.
uh,
So, anyways, Riya, please just go through these things. So, by this examination, now you know what are the deficiencies, what are the weaknesses. So, please just work on those deficiencies and try to read about the various aspects, especially the techniques and enzymology, because these are very two important uh, sections in which questions they are being asked in qualifying examination also, as well as in other competitive examinations. And please just see what are, because many examinations they ask about the textbooks which you have referred or the journals which you have reviewed uh, while writing the review literature for your work. So these things, I think, as a biochemist, you should be knowing and just work on that. So with this, I thank you for coming for this examination, because already I think it is around 1:30. There, very early in the morning, you are attending, and you must be exhausted by this time. So I thank you very much. So now you
thank
can
you.
sign off
Thanks.
from the meeting. So because other students now they will be attending, right?
Okay, Shreya.
Okay,
All the
sir.
best, Shreya.
Thank
Okay.
you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone, sir, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Safe journey.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So, so shall we start with the second presentation now? Deepanita is there?
Rahuja sir, one submission. Rahuja sir.
Yeah. Yeah,
Are
please.
all the students are already connected during the Shreya's interview? Viva Vosi? Because we will ask then other questions other than those questions which we have already asked.
So definitely it will be.
Hello?
Yeah, yeah. We can. But now I have told Shreya to sign off, but others,
He had signed off.
other students, they are listening.
Yes, sir. Hello?
So it is
Am I audible?
because I messaged you also in the morning, because you can be there as a part of the meeting only for your Viva OC examination, right? So as soon as your Viva is over, so you can please sign off from the meeting. So now I request Deepanita to please come forward for the BioVoc examination, and I request Dr. Shelly Praveen ma'am to please start the proceedings.
Hello, Deepinata, you are able to hear me?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
So how are you doing?
Ma'am, I'm all right in my home, safe, and everything is okay here.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
I am asking you a very general question, that once we are daily listening so many things in the TV channels regarding this viral infection, how can you see a possibility for a biochemist to help under this situation?
Ma'am, a biochemist has a tremendous role here because as this virus, it mainly infects the human by getting attached to the receptor molecule of angiotensin. One enzyme is there, angiotensin enzyme. This virus mainly gets infected through this enzyme. So a biochemist, as a biochemist, he can characterize the various proteins which are in the spike, such as the spike proteins, or the proteins or structures which are involved in the virulence, in the process of virulence, and also study the various effect the virus has inside the human body. So I think, ma'am, biochemist has a major role to play, and also, ma'am, in the development of vaccines. The development In the development of vaccines, also biochemistry, microbiology, molecular biology, all can work together uh, to get some positive result.
So this is in general you are telling. I am just asking, there are many efforts going on in the country. Are you aware of any such effort of CSIR lab or DBT Institute or NIV that they are working in this aspect? And is there any role of biochemist in those remedies which are coming out, whether it is diagnostics or vaccine?
Not specifically, I don't know, but I have read various reports of the kits which are developed by the CSIR Institute, which are much cheaper than those developed outside India. But ma'am, specifically, I cannot recollect.
So that is where a biochemist role should be. If you want to have a cheaper kit, whatever is, that is a news article. But what is the science behind it so that a cheaper ticket can be produced? So that is the role where we have to play. So what you are telling is just based on the news articles or news. But there are several reports available online. You can go and read. So it's not only your education is not only confined to your textbooks. You have to read other than textbooks also, so that you can come up with new ideas, that if you are given a role, what will be your how can you contribute in making efficient enzyme, cheaper enzyme for diagnostic, or some inhibitors, protein inhibitors or enzyme inhibitors, which can block the entry of the virus. That is what I mean to say, that other than your coursework, you should also have some interest in other activities where biochemistry can play a role. That's all from my side.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Shreya, because we would like to know what are the courses which you have done in major and the minor disciplines. So I would just request you just please introduce yourself, where from you have done your graduation and what is your OGPA, because these things we all should be aware of.
Your voice is not audible.
Good morning, everyone. Head ma'am, Professor Sir, Randeep Sir, everyone. Myself, Deepanita Goswami. I have done my BSc Agriculture from Uttar Banga Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, and I have here in MSc I have an overall grade point average of 8.73. I have completed a total of 19 courses, out of which 11 courses were from the major discipline, biochemistry, and 2 were from the minor discipline, that is plant physiology. And my research work is basically nutritional profiling, nutritional profiling of the and bioactive contents of regency and
Okay, thank you, Deepanita. Now I would request Arna Tyagi ma'am to please ask questions from the first section, that is the biomolecules and nutrition.
Dr. Archana Sachdev is supposed to start, no? Pehle.
No,
It's okay. It's okay.
we are not going by
We
the
all have
seniority,
to
ma'am.
ask, so it's okay.
Okay. Vanita, you can hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So, can you tell me what are buffers?
Buffer, ma'am.
Hmm.
Ma'am, buffers are the solutions which are constituted of a weak base, weak acid and its conjugate base. And ma'am, these are the solutions which resist a change in the pH. If we add acid or base to it, it will resist the change in the pH.
Example?
Examples are acetate buffer, phosphate buffer, bicarbonate buffer.
Acetate buffer, what are the constituents?
Is acetic acid, it's CH2COO minus, and its conjugate base, which can be, if it is made with some salts, it should be HCO CH3COO Na plus.
Hello?
Hello, ma'am.
You can name those weak acid and conjugate base which are used in the acetate buffer.
One is
Voice is not coming, sir.
ma'am, I cannot recollect now, as it is acetate and once weak acid is from acetic acid, and a salt will be there, sodium salt of that acetate acid.
No, but why do we call that acetic acid is a weak acid? No, you don't.
No, it's called a weak acid because acid is strong or weak. It depends on its capacity to donate hydrogen ion. So strong acid can donate it very easily. That is the Ka. It is very high. But the weak acid, they can donate hydrogen slowly. Those are called weak acid.
A lot of disturbance is there. If who are not asking the question, if they can just keep their mic off. So from nutritional biochemistry course, Achansade ma'am, would you like to ask something?
Yeah, a small question, Deepanita. How are you?
Ma'am, I'm good, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Good. Okay. So, you've done the nutritional biochemistry course, and we have talked about anti-nutritional factors in that particular course. So, what makes any factor anti-nutritional? When do we say everything is present with a certain purpose in a plant? When do you say that it's anti-nutritional?
We say something as anti-nutritional when if we consume it, it will affect or hinder the uptake or availability of any other nutrient. In the plants, it is playing some roles as protective role or some other role, but those are anti-nutrient to human body. If we take it, it will hinder or impair the uptake or the bioavailability or of some other important or related nutrients?
Your voice is not coming, Deepanatha. We
Uh,
couldn't hear you.
Ma'am, am I audible right now? I'm
Now,
Yes.
trying to speak loudly.
But it's broken. It's broken.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, anti-nutritional factors, these are present in the plants. They have protective roles or some other role, but in the body, when we take this anti-nutritional factor, they will impair or hinder the uptake or bio availability of some other nutrient, other important nutrient. Then it is called an anti-nutritional factor.
Can you name a few?
Yes, ma'am. Some uh, protease inhibitors are there, and tannins are there. Um, trypsin inhibitors. Uh, then in Lathyrus there is BOA, BOA. These are all anti-nutritional factors. Am I?
Again, voice is
Losing your,
coming.
yeah, losing your voice.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah,
Now
I get it.
Ma'am,
I get
ma'am,
it.
example है trypsin inhibitor, protease inhibitors, then ma'am other tannins which are present in the plants. Then ma'am phytic acid could also be an anti-nutritional factor.
So tell me something. Do you know a crop which has got the maximum number of anti-nutritional factors?
I don't know, but if I have to guess, I would have guessed soybean because it has phytic acid also in a high amount, and as it is a legume crop, it will have various tannins and those.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
thank you, ma'am. Deepanath, just continuing with this question. So, can you just tell us certain chemical or the enzymatic treatment which can reduce the activity of these anti-nutritional factors? Say, let's take the example of trypsin inhibitors. If you want to reduce the activity of trypsin inhibitors, so do you know any chemicals or the enzymatic treatment which can reduce the activity of this inhibitor?
There have been reports that cooking or boiling, they can reduce the anti-nutritional factor.
They are physical treatments, sir.
Chemical.
Chemical or enzymatic treatment? Okay, anyways, thank you. So now coming to the next section, that is on the metabolism. So I would request Dr. Sneha Goswami to please start the discussion. Dr. Sneha Goswami?
Yes, I'm David. Hello.
Yes,
Nita.
Good morning.
Good morning. Nita, have you done course gene regulation?
Yes, I have done the course.
Voice is not clear, Suneha.
Okay. So audible?
Yes, ma'am. But it's cracking.
So, can you differentiate between the plant genome and core genome?
Plant genome and animal genome.
Core genome. Core genome.
Core genome.
Core. C-O-R-E. Core.
Yes.
Core genome and pan genome. P-A-N. Pan genome.
Core genome, it is constituted of those genes specifically which were required for the main metabolism of the body, for the growth and development. These are the genes which are constitutively expressed. And ma'am, the pan genome, in the parent genome, apart from the core genome, there are other genes which play accessory roles.
Okay. Thank you, Tiffany.
Dr. Veda Krishna, would you like to ask something from this portion, metabolism? Intermediary metabolism especially.
Hi, Deepanita. Morning. So in metabolism, we also studied amino acids and nucleic acid and all. So I just want to ask you, like, how will you differentiate between essential and non-essential amino acids? And can you give me some examples also?
Essential amino acids, they cannot be synthesized by the body. Even if they're synthesized, they are in much smaller amounts. So we have to be dependent on the external sources, on the diet, to get the essential amino acids. But the non-essential amino acids, they are synthesized in our own body, either in vivo pathway or they are based from other pathway. In essential amino acid, for example, phenylalanine. Phenylalanine, it is an essential amino acid, whereas the next product, only tyrosine, it is a non-essential amino acid, as we can get it from phenylalanine.
Okay, thank you.
Ipinata, just continuing with this question, one enzyme, the sparaginase, it is nowadays being used for the anti-cancer treatment. So can you just tell us what are the basis for this sparaginase enzyme?
I may not be very specific, but I have read this as the tumor cells in the growth is more. The growth is more, so they require especially they require the aspara gene. The requirement for amino acid, it is also more in the tumor cell. So if this enzyme is targeted, so then the growth of the tumors, they can be restricted. So this is used in the cancer treatment.
Okay, thank you, definitely. So coming to the next section, the techniques and the enzymology, I would like to request Dr. Ranjan to start the discussion, please.
Yeah, Deepanita. Good morning. Yeah. So can you differentiate between rate zonal and isopanic centrifugation? Because this is the important one. And
So one is isopenic, another one
rate zonal centrifugation. Rate zonal centrifugation. Your
density will be same.
voice is not audible.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello, sir.
please.
Am I audible? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Continue.
In the isopenic centrifugation, the density is same. A similar density is maintained by, as the name suggests, isopenic. By adding some solvent, same density is maintained. And in rate zonal, the compounds, it will separate on the basis of the density. It will in that way it will separate in the while centrifugation. Sorry, sir, I'm stammering too much out of nervousness.
With the time of centrifugation?
Is that?
Like any correlation with the time of centrifugation? Like I have given you rate zonal and isopanic. No? So is there any correlation with the time of centrifugation in both these two methods?
Which one is time dependent and which one is time independent?
Anyway, your voice.
Just keep the mic closer to your.
Yes, sir. Sir, sorry, sir, I cannot. I keep it.
Okay. Thank you.
would request Dr. Suresh Kumar to please ask from the techniques portion.
Yes, sir.
सुरेश सर आपका माइक शायद ऑन नहीं है, सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है।
मैम समटाइम्स हेडफोन से भी प्रॉब्लम होती है, एक बार उसे हटा के देखें।
लैपटॉप से डायरेक्ट बात करके देख।
हाँ,
हेडफोन निकाल के।
anyone else would like to ask from this techniques portion? Yeah, Dr. Veda, you can go.
Dipannita, once again, so we did chromatography techniques, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So can you differentiate the basic difference between adsorption chromatography and partition chromatography?
And absorption chromatography, it depends on the attachment of that what we want to separate with that mobile phase or the stationary phase. And in the partition chromatography, this is an opposite. In the adsorption chromatography, the compound is getting absorbed on the column or the stationary phase. Where in the partition, it is just getting
Your voice is breaking.
Yeah, network is also, but I don't know why it is breaking.
See, because a lot of movement, na, that voice is not coming. You should be it is static. Then
You
your
have
voice.
to be, Dipanita, you have to be stationary at one place.
And you speak slowly, slowly.
Speak slowly and stationary at one place near to the mic. Okay? Now start.
In chromatography, particle that we want to separate is getting adsorbed, or it is depending on the solubility of that particle, and the partition chromatography is just opposite of the adsorption chromatography. It is partition coefficient, right? But
Okay.
I think there are connectivity issues. Some problem is there.
Thank you, Dipannita.
Maybe because of the M-FAN. So now coming to the last section, so two questions now. One by Dr. Vinuta and other one by Dr. Archana Singh. So please go ahead.
Vinuta, you can initiate. Vinuta, are you?
Yeah. Dipanita, you have already gone through the force of intermediary metabolism, where I have taken electron transport chain in mitochondria, right? Oxidative phosphorylation. So, in regarding to that, I'll ask one question. So, you know that electron transport chain, isn't it, in mitochondria? It takes place in inner membrane of the mitochondria. So, can you just explain me the inhibitors of ATP synthesis, which inhibits the electron transport? So what is the logic behind this? What is the mechanism which you can explain?
Transport chain, but if we specifically say of the ATP synthesis, then some substances are there which create in the channel, like these antibiotics, venturicipin, oligomycin. These antibiotics, they inhibit the ATP synthase. That is the last complex, and while inhibiting the gradient, it is and if the protein gradient is disturbed, ultimately the ATP synthesis will not occur. Inhibitors, and you are specifically asking of ATP synthesis, ATP
No.
synthesis inhibitor.
ATP synthase inhibitors should inhibit the ATP synthesis, but also it will inhibit the electron transport chain. Can you just give the reason why it is so?
Uh, if the ATP synthesis is inhibited, but the previous components are not, then what will occur? There will be a continuous proton gradient because the complex 1 and 3, it will continue to pump out the protons. In that case, what will happen? A time will come when the energy that is required for it to pump out that synthesis, ultimately the ATP synthesis will be stopped. That is why we see the ATP synthesis and the ETS are coupled to each other, and in this way it gets uncoupled. If one is stopped, another one is also inhibited.
Dipanita, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
My question is related to the gene regulation. You have done that course? In the gene regulation, you have heard about the bacteriophages. So what is the mode of their propagation? First question is related with this, and before that you have to let me know whether plant viruses are able to infect the human beings or not. First you answer this. Plant viruses can infect the human beings or not? And second question is bacteriophages, what is their mode of propagation? That you have to tell. Voice is not coming.
Ma'am, the plant here actually the network is also poor because of 3 days rains.
Okay, now I'm at the moment I can listen you.
Yes, ma'am. Plant virus, they don't attack the human beings.
Okay, that is the right answer. And why? You can brief this why it's not able to attack.
No, ma'am.
Okay, now pass on the question. Second question. Bacteriophages, their mode of propagation.
They can propagate in 2 ways. One is the lytic cycle, another one is the lysogeny. In lytic cycle, in the bacterium that they infect, in the lytic cycle, what we do, bacteria ruptures, lysis occurs, and in lysogeny, they integrate into the genome of the bacteria and they propagate as a prophage into them only and continue as that is called lysogeny.
Right. Thank you, Dipanita. Thank you.
Okay, with this we come to end of all the 4 sections. So now I would request Shelly ma'am to please have final comments, please.
Thank you, Anil. Good show, Dipinita, but I feel that you can answer your questions more professionally. What I can gather is that you know the answers, but you are not able to project it in a correct perspective. So your way of communication to give that answer, you can improve upon. So because we are your teachers, so we know that you know this answer. But a third person who is judging from outside is not able to guess immediately. So you have to project your answer in a more professional way. That is my suggestion. Otherwise, you did very good. Thank you, Anil.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dipanita, for this appearing for the examination and then performing really well. And I wish that you please prepare more for the final qualifying BioOS examination because there the expert will be from the different departments. So maybe all the questions they will not be targeted from the biochemistry only. So,
Yes.
so you must have some general awareness also. Become, you know, the COVID-19 crisis they are going on. So, as ma'am also asked the question, so these things they are the current things. So you should be aware about these things. How biochemistry can contribute in those aspects. So with this, I thank you very much, and take care and be in precautions. And I know that you people are facing the double whammy, the COVID-19 crisis also, and then the Amphan cyclone as well. So please do take care. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mm.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dipanita. Bye. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Manikanta is there?
Yeah, he's there.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay. Once again, I welcome all the students. I would request Manikanta to please introduce yourself and tell us about what is your academic journey so far, what are the courses which you have taken in the major and the minor, and what research problem you have undertaken, and what you are planning ahead.
So Manikanta has lead the group, sir. I don't know.
Maybe by mistake,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe by mistake only. So again, we have to invite. Just give me one.
You can call and check with him.
No, I have invited. Yeah, I am calling. Just wait. So by the time start with Sohail, he is in this group, and Manikanta is not accepting the call.
I messaged him to join back. I can call him.
Yeah, call is going on, ma'am, from team Microsoft Teams. So call is going on. He's not accepting.
Sohail, are you there?
Yeah, he's there.
I think he's joining Manikanta.
Joining,
Yeah. Manikanta joins, sir.
Hello, Manikanta.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Please go ahead with your introduction.
Good morning to all. Myself, Manikanta. I have completed my graduation from US Bangalore, GKVK. So I have joined as a student. I am working under Rachana Satyavada. So my OGPA is 8.1. I can.
So I would request Shelly ma'am to please start the proceedings.
I can see him.
Okay, welcome, Manikanta. I
Good morning,
hope you are doing okay, health-wise.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I am just asking one question. That during this period, we are hearing from our Prime Minister time to time. In his last message, he has given one indication that now we have to work towards Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India. So yesterday I received a circular from our ministry that how our division, biochemistry division, can contribute towards making India self-reliant. We have to take this direction according to you. Are you able to listen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I.
Ma'am.
Please unmute all others. Please mute yourself. So you are able to get my question?
Yes, ma'am.
According to you, in what direction biochemistry division should work to make India self-reliant?
Definitely, madam. Biochemistry has a various role in providing the industrial sector for the India. So it is as we know that we are basically working on pearl millet. So in one of your presentation, you have told that this pearl millet can be used in a various way, even to make the cerelac for the babies. So that is one of the industrial objective. So like that, we can construct a various form of this biochemistry reliant industries, so that we can contribute in a more way. So as a scientist, we have a role that we can go for the good research, which is more oriented towards the farmers, so that they can get benefited from this both economically, and also the nutritional aspect is most concerned nowadays. So that also we can able to achieve through the proper and goal-oriented research. So this is my view on that. Thank you.
Any single example you want, if you have to initiate, for example, given a choice, if you have to initiate one program which can help in making India self-reliant, what will you propose?
I think India can be self-reliant because of the agriculture. So we have to provide more input towards the agriculture, because all other foreign countries, for example USA, it is morely towards IT sector, I mean service sector. So that cannot be a long term. They cannot establish the GDP long term, or anytime the economic integrity can be collapsed. But India is basically reliant on the agriculture field. So if we can provide the agriculture input for farmers, or the inputs from the agriculture to the industries, so we can achieve better than any other countries. So in that way, as a biochemist, I can see that in a soil testing, the people are using various kind of instruments for the soil testing, for the nutrient analysis, I mean soil nutrient analysis. So we can use the enzymes which have the particular cofactors, and we can check the binding integrity of the enzyme and that particular nutrient. So it will be a good soil testing instrument we can able to give. So that's in that way we can go for the research work. I feel like.
Okay, you want to focus on soil testing first.
I told just one aspect about that.
Okay.
It can be many other
Fine.
way.
Fine.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Thank you, Anil. That is from my side.
Thank you, ma'am. So, Manikanta, what kind of soil enzymes they are currently being used for determining the health of the soil?
Soil enzymes.
Because in soil, many microbes they are producing these enzymes. So those enzymes they are being taken as indicator of the soil health. So can you name certain few enzymes which are currently being used for determining the soil health?
So basically, if we consider the nitrogen related process, we can say that nitrous oxidase, nitrate reductase. These are all the enzymes which can be detected to
read about it, because if you have started something, so you should be knowing more in depth about that.
Yes, sir.
So with this, now I come to the first section, that is the biomolecules and nutrition, and I would request Dr. Rachna Sadeh ma'am to please start the discussion. Rachna ma'am?
Voice not coming.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it was on mute. It was on mute.
Good afternoon, Manikanta. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
So, Manikanta, I wanted to ask you the basic difference between nutraceuticals and functional foods.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any clear-cut demarcation between them?
Definitely, ma'am. We can say that nutraceuticals are mostly towards, we can disintegrate that particular word, nutraceutical, nutrients with pharmaceutical. So it can be a medicine used as a medicine for treating particular ailments, these nutraceuticals. that this particularly having the nutrition with the pharmaceutical benefits. So another, can I hear what is another one?
Functional foods.
Functional food. Functional foods are maybe saying this. This can be particularly used for the particular function. I mean, so I'm not able to recall it properly.
Like you have pharmaceuticals, they undergo regulation procedures. Do nutraceuticals need regulations? Similar kind of regulations? Like the pharma drugs?
I think not necessarily it needs that kind of regulation because
not necessarily, or it does or it doesn't.
It does not need.
Sorry?
It does not need that kind of regulation.
Okay. Can you name a few nutraceuticals and a few functional foods with the kind of bioactives they have?
Nutraceuticals. No, I'm not able to recall that.
Okay. We can proceed further.
Please switch on your video.
रंजन जी आपकी वॉइस कट रही है.
Manikanta?
You can start your video, Manikanta.
Start your video.
Sir, I'm not able to start the video. I have
Okay.
started already, but I don't know why it is not showing.
Okay, doesn't matter. So, Arna ma'am?
Yes.
Like
Manikanta?
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Manikanta, you can hear me? You can hear me?
The voice is little cracking. I cannot able to hear properly.
Okay. Now, can you tell something about simultaneous processing? Over. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
You can tell something about process.
Voice is coming, ma'am. Voice.
I don't know, ma'am. Your voice is not coming. It's not audible.
Okay.
Now it's.
Okay, we'll move to the maybe the next section. Metabolism. I would. Hello.
Hello, madam.
Archana ma'am's voice is not coming, so I would request Archana Singh ma'am to please start the discussion from the metabolism section. Plant biochemistry course.
Hello. sir. May I ask, Manikanta?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you hearing me? I'm Ashna.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
You did the plant biochemistry course?
Yes, ma'am.
In the plant biochemistry course, when we were talking about the signal transduction processes, there is a module G proteins.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you define the role of G protein as a molecular switch for the signal transduction process?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Briefly elaborate in 2-3 lines.
G proteins are like nucleotide binding proteins. So hello?
Hello?
Yes, please continue.
Hello, Manikanta?
Hello, madam.
You just...
So it is involving in the signaling pathways like GPCR protein, it is having hetero 3 components of the enzyme. So it is involved in the secondary signaling control.
question is asked in the competitive exam, PSG entrance examination. So this is all we should write in that.
Manikanta, are you audible?
Yes, ma'am.
This question is already asked in some other professional examinations also. Just briefly tell how it is working as a molecular switch. Could you get my answer?
Yes, ma'am. So GT, these G proteins will mainly involve the GTPs, which will convert the GTP into GDP. So while that conversion, there is a passing of signals for the various metabolic pathways. So this is how they are acting as a molecular switch. When there is no GTP, the activity of the G protein will be completely switched off. So when there is a GTP, it can be taking the lead.
Actually, answer lies in the structure. It's a heterodimeric structure. When there is a separation of one alpha unit, then it is becoming active and coming into inactive form. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Pass on to the another question. Thank you, Manikanta.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Dr. Ranjit, would you like to ask something from the inorganic nitrogen metabolism?
Yeah, Manikanta.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, so can you list few characteristic features of nitrate reductase in?
Sir, I can't hear you properly.
So my voice is not audible.
Yes, sir. Your voice is breaking.
Please tell something about nitrate reductase enzyme.
Nitrate reductase enzyme. It will catalyze the first step of the nitrogen reduction. So it will convert the nitrate to nitrite. That is the role of nitrate reductase enzyme.
Any other point to add?
So it is the morphology of it is like sickle shaped.
Sickle shaped.
What is the cofactor required? What are the electrons involved? Number of electrons?
How many sites?
The cofactor is magnesium for the nitrate reductase enzyme. Sorry, molybdenum is the cofactor for the nitrate reductase enzyme.
Hello.
Dr. Vinuta, would you like to ask anything from the metabolism portion?
Can you just tell me what are the inhibitors of electron transport chain?
Yes, ma'am.
What will
Rotanin.
Okay, can you explain why the people? You just explain me why if people take cyanide, immediately they'll die. Explain the biochemical process related to electron transport chain.
Can you repeat the last line? I cannot hear you properly.
People, those who take cyanide, immediately within no time they die.
Yes, ma'am.
So can you explain me the biochemical process related to electron transport chain?
Yes, ma'am. Because cyanide will block the fourth component of this electron transport chain. So this is the donator of oxygen. I mean, receiver of oxygen. So there is a blockage of oxygen because of insufficient.
No, there won't be a blockage of oxygen. What will happen?
which enzyme gets inhibited by cyanide? Any idea about that?
Fourth complex will get inhibited.
So then why people die?
So maybe because of the network issues, we are taking more time. So already we are exceeding the time. So now we'll have one more question from the techniques and enzymology, another one from the molecular biology and biotechnology. So I would request Dr. Veda Krishnan to please ask question from the techniques.
Hi, Manikanta.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, ma'am.
So you were working on protein digestibility and other aspects. So
Yes,
can you
ma'am.
mention a few techniques that most commonly used for protein analysis as well as characterization?
For protein analysis, we can use Lawrence method, Bradford, and Bio-Red methods.
Which one? Bio-Red? Bio-Red?
Quantification.
And characterization?
We can use electrophoretic techniques like SDS page, 2D 2D page, and isoelectric focusing, multi-TOF. There are many other techniques.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I can see Dr. Suresh now. Your problem has been solved. Problem with the mic. Dr. Suresh. Now we are able to hear you. So if you can ask some questions from the techniques portion.
Good morning, sir.
Your voice is not.
Sir, sorry, I'm not able to hear anything.
No, voice is coming. Suresh, it's audible. No.
Sorry, we are not able to hear you, Dr. Suresh. So we'll move to the next person, molecular biology and biotechnology section. I would request Dr. Sneh Narwal to please ask some questions.
Hello. Hello, Manikanta.
Hello, madam. Hello, madam. Good morning.
I want to ask if you want to find out what type of genes are in a particular cell. So how can you, what techniques you can use to see the expression of genes in cancer and whatever sample?
Ma'am, sorry, I have not heard you. I'm not able to hear you properly.
Can I repeat the question? Hello?
Hello, madam. Hello, madam.
Uh-huh. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I can hear.
So can you tell me what techniques you can use to see the expression of a gene in a cell?
Manikanta, what are the techniques being used for studying the expression of the genes?
Study the expression of genes.
Yeah.
We can use mainly we can block that particular gene. I mean, mutate that particular gene. Then we can study the.
सुबह printing के regarding पूछना था, अब हो गया. Thank you.
Hello.
Manikanta, are you able to understand the question? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
So madam is asking what are the techniques to study the expression of gene. You cannot able to give the name of the technique.
Yes, ma'am. We can use like fluorescent in situ hybridization, like, and PCR. Also, we can use like reverse transcriptase using reverse transcriptase enzyme. And DNA microarray also we can do, ma'am, for studying this gene. Then there may be some reporter genes that also we can use for studying the expression of difference. And
So with this now, I request Shelly ma'am to please give the final comments.
Ma'am, I think it is on.
Okay.
Hello, are you able
Yeah.
to hear me?
Yeah, ma'am.
yes, yes, ma'am.
So you have done nicely. You are able to answer many questions. My only suggestion is that again we have to practice, or maybe there is some lacuna in our teaching that we are not able to guide you, that you have to put your answer more professionally. So whenever a question is asked, a very simple question, you just answer that question. So that way is not coming. It's not only with you, but all other three we notice that is one point we are lacking. So please improve upon and just give direct answers what is asked. And rest of the thing, like simple questions people are asking, very simple questions I'm hearing, but you are not able to put forward the direct answer. So please focus on it and try to improve for your qualifying. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Manikanta. So I just read more, because there is no substitute for to that, because the more you read, the more confidence will come. And if you have the confidence, then naturally the performance, it will be better in any interview or the examination. Okay, thank you very much. So shall we move to the last BioVoce examination? Sohail is there?
Yeah, he is there.
So now I invite Sohail to for the BioVoce examination. So I would request. Hello, Sohail, are you able to hear me?
So help, please unmute yourself. Your mic is on mute. Please unmute your mic, so help.
Yes, sir. I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I welcome you for this final for this BioVoce examination, and request you to please introduce yourself to the members, starting with what is your background, what is the academic journey so far, and what are the courses which you have undertaken, and OGPA, and what type of work you are doing for your MSc thesis work, and what are your future plans. Briefly, just you can introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sohail Rahman. I have done my BSc in agriculture from UBKB, that is Uttar Pradesh Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, which is in West Bengal. And now I am doing my MSc in biochemistry from IARI. In my MSc, I have done a total of 19 courses, out of which 11 courses were from biochemistry and 2 were from my minor division, which is plant physiology. And my OGPA and right now is around it's 7.83. And regarding future plans, for now it is to get a PhD admission, and I have not thought so much far beyond that.
Okay.
And currently I am working on the starch quality of rice, and my chairperson is Dr. Veda Krishnan ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Sohail, for the nice introduction. Now, I would request Dr. Shelly Praveen ma'am to please start the proceeding.
Ma'am is on mute, I think.
Mute, I think.
Yeah, ma'am, she's
Yes.
Ah.
Now you are able to listen to me, Sohail. So
Yes, ma'am.
welcome, Sohail.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I am asking a simple question. I am teaching serine proteases in enzymology course.
Yes, ma'am.
Now serine proteases are also the culprit for the current crisis. Are you aware of any serine proteases which are doing this job and we are facing this problem of SARS-CoV-2?
Serine protease. No, ma'am. Regarding SARS, I have not heard this serine proteases. The link between this serine proteases and SARS.
So my suggestion is go and read certain articles where the
Yes, ma'am.
human serine proteases are playing an important role and help in the entry of the virus in human cell. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is what, if we are talking about serine proteases, it does not mean that we will restrict ourselves to chymotrypsin or trypsin, because the function of the enzyme is same. So if you have to block certain enzyme in the current crisis, then as a biochemist or as an enzymologist, you should know that what remedy you should come out with blocking those enzymes.
Okay, ma'am.
For that purpose, first you know what they are doing in the infection. Okay, so go and read, and that is general awareness. That's what Dr. Anil told, that in this pre-qualifying, we are just restricting ourselves to the course which we are teaching. But in the qualifying, it is a sum total of any aspect related to science. I'm not saying biochemistry, it is related to science. So as a scientist, we are able to think about it. So that is my summation. That's it, Anil, from my side.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Because because the purpose of reading is because serine proteases, they have been taught to you. So purpose is how we can apply that knowledge for solving the problems. And now in the current problem, as ma'am said, the serine proteases, they have a great role. Rather, it is a negative role. It is making the entry of the virus into the cell easier. So as we should learn these things, because we should have the interest in these things, only then we can upgrade ourselves.
Yes, sir.
So now coming to the first section, that is the biomolecules and nutrition. So if Dr. Suresh, your problem of the mic has been solved, so you can start with the basic biochemistry course. If not, so then I would request Archana Sadeh ma'am to please start with the nutritional biochemistry.
Ma'am, it's on mute.
Ma'am, your phone is on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Dr. Dahuja, can I ask him something from my nucleic acid portion, if you don't mind?
Yeah, ma'am, because section is biomolecules and nutrition.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. Hi, Sohail. How are you?
Yes, ma'am. I'm fine, ma'am. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. I'm good. Okay, Sohail, we all know that RNA came before DNA, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You agree with it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and you always find uracil in RNA.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
not in DNA.
Yes, ma'am.
So what could be the convenience of uracil being in RNA? Why was it picked up? It could have converted to T also, like it normally does in DNA.
Yes, ma'am. No, I think because
you just make a guess.
ma'am, because in our DNA we have T, not U. But if means due to alkylation, the T changes to U. So when there is a mutation, then T becomes U in our body. So at that time, that means the DNA repair system can detect it and make some correction. But if we had U from first only, then the repair system means could not differentiate between the actual U and the U which has come from mutation. So if this mutation would not have been corrected, then maybe some gene fault will be there, gene defect. So we have T instead of U.
No, we have T. Yeah, so that is the answer for why do you have T instead of U in DNA. But why do you have U instead of T in RNA? Which involves more energy? Which is more energy expensive?
Ma'am, T.
T. So was it convenient to pick up U when it first came into existence, nucleic acids?
Ma'am, I think means when means according to the RNA world hypothesis means when the first molecule came was RNA, so it was self replicating. So maybe we have to save energy. They had U because for the replication maybe less energy was required to incorporate U than T.
That makes a little more sense, right? Yeah. So, do you name? Can you name a few agencies which are involved in regulating the addition of food additives?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, one is FSSAI, which is Food Safety and Standards Authority of India.
But when did it come into picture? It's not a very old one, it's a new one. Do you have any idea when did it come into existence?
I think around 2003.
A little close. And what are the steps? How does how is the food additive allowed? And after what kind of screening does one allow food
Ma'am,
additive
means
to be added?
firstly a limit is fixed, means after which it becomes harmful. Then generally means the food additive is added means not more than 1/10 of that maximum harmful limit.
1/10 or 100?
Ma'am, 100. Then it is also checked, means that these values are also checked time to time, and these are also means keeps on changing so that they don't cause any harm to our body.
Okay, that's fine. And two international agencies, the regulatory framework is followed before you end up adding it as an additive. Which are the two international agencies whose framework is generally followed? The guidelines are followed from them.
Ma'am, one is from England based.
Heard of JECFA?
Yes, ma'am.
JECFA?
Yes, ma'am. JECFA is there, and
Codex?
yes, ma'am. That Codex Alimentarius is there. Codex Alimentarius.
Thank you, Sohail. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Arna, ma'am, would you like to ask something from the basic biochemistry course?
You can hear me, Sohail?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Okay. So I would like you to classify proteins on the basis of structure.
Basis of structure.
Yeah.
Means, ma'am, on the basis of structure, there are two types: fibrous and globular, which are round, and fibrous, which are stretched.
Aruna is not audible.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you answered?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I told that on the base of the structure or the shape, there are two types. One is hybridus, which is elongated, and one is globular, which is round.
That is on the basis of, I think, solubility. If you remember correctly, on the basis of structure, have you heard terms like we classify primary, secondary structure, tertiary structure, quaternary structure?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So that's the right answer, and you can give now the different structures.
Yes, ma'am. Means based on the structure, there are four types: primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. The primary structure is based on the sequence of the amino acid, and the secondary structure is generally is found between that when secondary structure is mainly generally two types. One is alpha helix and beta sheet, and tertiary structure is found due to the interaction between the amino acids, and it is the three-dimensional structure, and tertiary structure is only found in those proteins which are having multiple subunits.
And for quaternary,
Ma'am, quaternary structure is found in those proteins. Those are those which are having subunits.
what was the first protein to be sequenced? Which was the first protein to be
Insulin.
sequenced? And who had sequenced it?
Ma'am, Sanger.
Okay, fine.
So, thank you, ma'am. Coming to the next section, that is metabolism. So, I would request Dr. Ranjan to please start the proceedings, starting with the inorganic nitrogen metabolism.
Sohail, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Can you please tell me what is this seroheme protein?
So this seroheme protein is a iron-containing protein, and this has a role in the transfer of electrons, and it is found in the process of nitrogen fixation also.
And in which enzyme?
Seroheme, I think it is found in nitrate reductase.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Sneha Goswami, would you like to ask something from this denitrification process? Dr. Sneha, are you there?
Wait. Yes, sir. Can I ask from plant biochemistry?
Yeah, please.
Plant biochemistry.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Sohail.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain how a sulfur-rich compound are helpful in cyanide detoxification reaction?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, these sulfur-rich compounds like glutathione, they form this complex with this cyanide, and they change it to means non-harmful compounds.
There is role of some important enzymes. What are that? Which are responsible for this conversion? Name of enzyme.
Ma'am, one is I think glutathione transferase.
No. Did you hear about rhodamase?
Yes, ma'am, I have heard the name.
And what 3-methylpyruvate sulfur transferase? What these enzymes are doing?
So if you don't know, please say, then we can move to the next question.
Yes, sir, I cannot answer right now. I can recall, sir.
Okay. Dr. Archana Singh, would you like to ask something from plant biochemistry course?
Voice is not coming, ma'am. Your voice is not audible.
My
hear
Please
me?
unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am. I can
Yes.
hear now.
Now you're hearing? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Sohail, this question is related to the signal transduction pathways in plant biochemistry course. There are calcium and colmodulin. Both these components work together during the signal transduction process. So how they are linked to the process of the signal transduction?
Ma'am,
Calcium and
generally,
colmodulin.
ma'am, these calmodulin are calcium binding proteins. Generally, in the cytosol, the concentration of calcium is very less. But when there is some external signal, then this import of calcium from the outside of the cell occurs, and this concentration increases. So this binds to the calmodulin, and then
Where? How it is going to bind with colmodulin? How have you heard about EF arms? EF arms?
ma'am, it has calcium binding sites are there. Then
Colmodulin having EF arms. So how many molecules of the calcium are going to bind with one colmodulin?
ma'am, the exact number I cannot recall now.
Okay. It's actually 4 molecules. Okay, thank you, Sohail. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So continuing with the same question. So in the cell you have so many divalent ions present. So why the calcium it has been selected to be acting as the signaling molecule? Why not the other divalent ions?
Sir, because the other divalent ions are there present in a much higher amount because they act as generally coenzymes or other enzymes. Not coenzyme, they act as cofactor of other enzymes. But since this calcium is present in a low amount, so this can act as a signal, means when its concentration increases, and this can be tracked.
Dr. Venuta, would you like to ask anything from metabolism portion?
So,
yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am.
yeah. Can you just name 3 scientists who contributed for the synthesis of ATP? The mechanism of ATP synthesis, there are 3 scientists that have largely contributed. Can you name them?
Ma'am, that ATP synthase, that scientists.
ATP synthesis.
Ma'am, Paul Boyer.
Okay, very good.
Paul Boyer was there, and ma'am, Wolf Jung was there.
Who?
Ma'am, Wolf Jung.
No.
ATP synthase.
Peter Mitchell.
Yes, ma'am. P. Mitchell was there.
Raghunath.
And these 2 only I know, I think.
Okay, what Peter Mitchell gave? What is the mechanism he gave, and what can you just name the mechanism? What Peter Mitchell gave?
Ma'am, P. Mitchell gave that proton gradient law.
What about Paul Boyer? Rotational catalysis.
Ma'am, Paul Boyer gave that rotational catalysis of the ATP synthase. Means for 1 ton, that how many ATPs are produced? That one was given by Paul Boyer.
Peter Mitchell for chemiosmosis. You shouldn't forget.
Chemiosmotic theory.
Okay, thank you, Vinita. Dr. Veda Krishna, would you like to ask something from the techniques portion?
Voice is not audible.
Mute.
Unmute it.
Yeah. Sorry. Now can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I hope you're good. And one humble suggestion is whenever somebody is asking the name of a respected person who contributed immensely, please don't use the word like Sanger. Okay? That is a humble suggestion. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Because please with a lot of respect, okay? And full name, if possible, doctor, okay? Or professor. Okay, so techniques, we did HPLC. So can you mention the role of different parts of HPLC?
Ma'am, the HPLC, the main parts of HPLC are that pump, injector, column.
Mention one by name and its role.
Okay, ma'am. First of all, the pump is there. First is the reservoir in which that solid is kept, and its role is to hold it, and it should be non-reactive. And then comes the pump. The pump draws the solid from the reservoir and it pumps it to the column. Column is the main phase where this means it holds the matrix and where the separation takes place. Then from the column it goes to the detector, and the detector, there are so many types which are based on maybe the refractive index or the fluorescence. And then from there we have an analytical screen where we'll get the time and the peak, means at which point it will elute out.
Are you missing any parts?
There are other parts also, like that valve is there in the after the pump. This will check the backflow of the solute.
What is the need of column oven?
Column oven, it means column oven maintains a constant temperature, because with change in temperature, the degree of mobility will also change. So we will not get the correct peaks.
Thank you.
So related to this only, Sohail, what is the need for having so much high pressure in HPLC?
Sir, high pressure will give means better resolution and separation than this normal chromatography. Means the zone separation will be more wide and it will be more visibly clear than this
No, that is the end result. You get better resolution. But what for we require the high pressure? Because earlier people, they were doing the column chromatography also, and by changing the particle size they were getting the enhanced resolution as well. But why suddenly the need to shift from the normal column chromatography to this high performance liquid chromatography?
So it saves time also.
So do you know the relationship between the back pressure which is generated because of the reducing the particle size? Any relationship between that?
So I did not get the question.
So in the normal column chromatography, if you keep on reducing the particle size, do you know what kind of back pressure it will be generated? So would you be able to make the flow of the solvent going? Anyways, read about it. Now we'll come to the next section, that is the molecular biology and biotechnology. I would request Tasneem Nirwal to please start the proceeding.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, it's not clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, but it's not clear.
I want to ask a general question that in COVID-19 diagnostic kit, what molecular biology technique they are using?
RT-PCR they are using.
Yes. Simple RT-PCR or what type? Can you give me a principle in brief about this RT-PCR technique?
Okay, ma'am, this RT-PCR is that reverse transcriptase PCR. Where we can means from the RNA we can get the cDNA. That
reverse transcriptase PCR or real-time PCR is also being used?
Yes, ma'am, that is also there. The real-time PCR or QRT PCR.
Yeah, we are using this quantitative artifacts also for this detection.
Yes, ma'am.
Ashna ma'am, would you like to ask something from the protein biosynthesis course?
Telling me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is the role of caps in messenger RNA? So here.
Role of
caps at the 5' end in messenger RNA. Cap 0, cap 1, cap 2, remember?
when that high prime cap.
Yes.
Ma'am, this high prime cap will help the cell to recognize the newly synthesized strand from the template strand, so that it will not be degraded by the exonucleases.
Do you remember the structure of the cap?
No, I'm not at the moment.
There are 3 types of cap: cap 0, 1, and 2. What is the difference?
Ma'am, yes, sir. Cap 0 is at the end of the chain of the strand. Cap 1 is that
Which end of the chain?
nucleotide. Cap 1.
Which end of the chain?
High prime end. And cap 2 is the third nucleotide from the 5' end.
What is the role of cap you're not able to remember?
Yes, ma'am. This cap will prevent the newly synthesized strand from degradation by exonuclease.
And why so? What is the characteristic of that cap? What is
Ma'am, ma'am, this cap will keep the strand in a methylated state, which will be detected by the cell.
So do you remember what kind of 5' linkage does it have at the cap?
Ma'am, I think it is 5' to 5' guanosine link is there. Guanosine, yes, ma'am, something was there.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Ranjan, would you like to ask something from this molecular biology portion?
No, sir, I think I passed.
Gene regulation. Okay, then. So with this, we come to the end of this section as well. So now I would request Dr. Shaili Praveen ma'am for the final word of advice for the student.
Thank you, Anil. Suhail, I noticed that you are able to answer many questions, but your capacity to answer direct questions are more. Whenever people are asking little bit of indirect question, you are not very comfortable with. So please develop that ability. Like Dr. Archana Sachdev asked very simple question about RNA and DNA, about uracil and U and T. So this is, you know that answer, but she has to give you several hints. So try to develop a capability to answer indirect questions, because most of the time, as we grow up, direct questions is easy to answer. That what is this, explain this, define this. It is very easy to answer. But if the same thing is asked in an indirect manner, that is a thinking process involved. Otherwise, it is just cramping up and just whatever you get from the textbook or from the notes, you are just getting it out. But in the indirect questions, you have to think. So we want to develop a thinking capacity in everyone. Because tomorrow, if you want to join the research as a career, you should have a thinking capacity to develop your programs, to develop research experiments. So that is the purpose of all these vivas. Because in all the courses we are taking exams and have a grade point average. So we know that textbook based knowledge should be there. But same thing is asked in a different manner. How best you can come out with the answers is the purpose of this 2-hour activity or the activity which we are going to take in the qualifying exam. That how you can respond to the question. That is my suggestion. Please develop those things. Listen the question carefully. Try to give answer in a right direction. And if you don't know the answer, the best thing is to say that I do not know. And then just saying that I don't know is not going to resolve, because after this Viva, you have to go and read. It's not that the Viva is over and then I qualified, so no need to. If the same question is asked, going to be asked in the qualifying, I hope you are able to answer. And in many cases, we find that if we are asking the same question in the qualifying exam, the student is still not able to answer. It means they are not taking it as seriously. That so you should feel that I do not know this. So after this, everything is available on the net. You go back and again read. So I am hoping that if we are going to repeat the same questions in the qualifying, you are able to answer.
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So with this, we come to the end of all the 4 biology examinations. So I would like to thank Sohail. Yeah. Are you able to hear me?
No, already left the group.
They will run away.
Maybe he is too keen to get the answers for the questions which he couldn't answer. So ma'am's advice has
That's
worked.
too positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. In lockdown times, be positive.
So, as we come to the end of this final Vivos examination, so I thank all the faculty members for their help and cooperation and for sparing their valuable time for this examination. So I hope we could complete within the time. So it is already 1:10. So we started at 11:10, so we could finish it in 2 hours. So I thank you all for your help and cooperation and for your support as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks to you
Thank you,
also
sir,
for
for this
wonderfully
initiative.
conducting it. And Ranjan, the team manager, MS team.
Yeah. Hopefully they will improve in the qualifying examination.
Thanks, Shelly.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to see you all.
Yeah. Except
Yes.
you are still undercover.
Actually, division is so lonely without all of you.
That is true. That is true.
Yes. It was really,
Slowly
really
we are
bad.
coming back, and maybe in the coming month we are going to be in full form. But definitely we all know that this crisis is going to has a longer impact. So we have to live with this. But I'm glad that we are able to do all these exercises with this kind of a mode.
That's true.
At least we are able to venture into these things only because of this crisis.
I think this is the blessing in disguise, ma'am.
That's right. That's right.
If connectivity gets improved, and naturally the output will be much better, ma'am. So now
I have 2 more Vivas today. One at 3 o'clock, the other at 3:45.
MBB only in the MBB department.
MBB,
yeah. Because they have started the qualifying examinations.
Yes, they've started.
So maybe this week we'll get the approval of the examiners for our students also. So next week we can plan for the qualifying examinations.
Okay.
And the best part is that this meeting was recorded also.
I saw you were recording it.
Any, that
No,
is
that's
a good.
good.
Students
In
can
fact, we
practice the
have a
question.
And that is also record for us also, that we have conducted in a very efficient manner. Dr. Dahuja, thank you so much for
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all.
taking all the pains to declare the result of the
No,
result.
it was possible because of your efforts only, ma'am.
Because of the efforts of the keys has to be produced there. And thank you to Vinitha also.
Yeah.
And thank you, Arsha ma'am. Shelly ma'am, thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Veda.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye,
thank
bye.
you,
Bye,
everyone.
Bye, sir.
Kanchan.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Krishna, Veda,
Bye.
everybody.
Suneha,
Vimita,
stay,
bye.
madam.
With your due permission, I am
Suneha,
closing the meeting
bye.
now.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay then.
Bye.
See you.